The realities may set in Europe, but we may see the downside of for example, if the president declares a climate emergency, executive order, we are going to stop oil and gas drilling in the outer continental shelf. We're going to do all kinds of things that will limit production of hydrocarbons at this time, with the idea that by 2030, everyone else is going to be along with us, and that will somehow. You think we're going to be able to change the weather or the climate between now and 2030 with what China?
Well, we've changed the climate between 2010 and now, and not in a good way. So yes, we can and must act to make sure that we reverse the worst effects of climate change. Look, some of it's upon us right now. This is not a question about whether it's going to happen or whether it's not going to happen. It's a question of
they're going to keep rising.
It's a question of how many lives and how many livelihoods are going to be destroyed by allowing the worst effects of climate change to happen.
But right now, people are
I've never known the United States. I've never known the United States
for something that may or may not happen by 2030.
They're dying from the heat because of a climate-related extreme weather.
But we're not going to cut emissions until 2030. In the meantime, they need energy to cool their homes and to heat their homes in the meantime.
Right, and as you know, I mean, the other thing that's striking is I've noticed some naysayers in the U.S. speaking as if the only power sources that exist are solar, wind, and hydrocarbon. Obviously, in Europe, they have a mix that relies partly on nuclear. We have more options that are being developed in the U.S., as well as being smarter and more efficient with the energy that we have. Energy efficiency has often been described as the fifth fuel. And in the transportation side of things, finding less carbon-intensive ways to move our vehicles. Obviously, the leading and most visible example of that's electric vehicles. It's why we're fighting to make EVs cheaper. And it's why we're getting these charging stations out across the country. But I've never known the United States to be a country that looks around the world and says, what's the lowest common denominator? Let's do that. Or we don't have control over every piece of it, so let's sit back, accept the status quo, and let some other country lead. That's not what America does. And I think what you're going to see from the president today is an insistence that America should be leading the way and challenging the rest of the world to catch up to us instead of matching some other country that isn't doing a very good job.